All right, we're getting into game number 1 of the other semifinals. Someone says, what race is stylish? Well, he's Terran, and he's Korean, coming to the European server. So playing with a bit of lag on his side. In the bottom right, we got the blue Terran player, aLive.
In the bottom left is the red Zerg. It is Liquid Snute.
So again, a lot of things to be said about this, but well, I think, a lot of dominance in Inertio versus Keen. That seemed like a lot more of a one-sided matchup. This one for me, I'm kind of shaky on. Like, I think Snute takes it, but I'm not going to give him the 2-0. I'm going to say 2-1. aLive's really good at this matchup.
Mm-hmm. I see a lot of people bringing up Keen's GSL results, and it's kind of like I had to be reminded of that because I kind of forgot. But to be honest, aLive seems to be a lot more consistent in online cups. I would say even better in online cups.
You know, I hate to be that guy. Someone's going to crucify me for saying this. But the GSL results this season, compared to, like, seasons of past, almost feel, like, not reliable. Like, you're seeing players like Beyond get knocked out so early into it. And folks like Ryong and Keen, who I love to death, by the way, I want to very much clarify before I say this, they're not the players you would expect to see in the round of 8, much less, like, the semifinals of a GSL type thing. So, on one hand, it's great because it showcases a lot of players doing well and new. But on the other, seeing players like Dark and Beyond and so many of, like, the really good players out so early makes me question, like, do we really want to use those results to compare things to right now?
I don't know. I honestly don't watch enough of GSL anymore to have a very strong opinion on it.
You know, the funny thing is, I've actually been watching it a lot more thanks to the new time.
Yeah, well, lucky you. Yeah, this is something that, I mean, it might have just been the matchups that Keen got. It might have been the preparation that is contributed to GSL style formats, because that might just be the biggest difference. aLive seems to be more consistent in online cups, and that is something to do with the fact that you do not know who your next opponent is, or the next one after that. You know, it's all in 4 hours. You have to meet 4, maybe 5 people.
Yeah, you don't get time to study.
So anyways, I still stand by that he's more stable than Keen. I actually think he's better straight up. In these online tournaments, and Snute is a little more, little more shaky than Inertio overall.
Well, so there is that factor that we do need to, of course, remind people of. aLive and Keen, no matter how good they are in Korea, they are going to be fighting against latency coming cross-server to play Europe, and it's not like playing at NA where it's like kind of tolerable. Like, I don't even know how these guys stomach playing to Europe, I'm going to be honest. But going back to Snute for a moment, you know, you just called him shaky. What I find interesting is I think Snute would struggle if aLive did like a lot of all-in builds or even cheese. But if Snute, I stand by this every time I say it. Like, if Snute can get to multiple bases and have like 70+ drones, I'm going to love his position every time. Like, he's just so good if he gets to macro.
That's true. I mean, you just look at him versus Hero Marine to see really, truly stomping macro. But then we look at him versus Euthermal, and while they are different maps, and that definitely contributes to it, I do think it was also just the style at which Euthermal played, which I think aLive would play more to than like Hero Marine. I don't think of many Koreans that play like Hero Marine. So, speaking of, he's being aggressive already with a hell of an attack. Deja vu, man. We just saw this.
Maybe this time we'll see this go a little bit better, though. There's not going to be one awkward Evo plus Roach Warren waiting for him to block him out entirely this time.
Yeah, and Snute is more likely to play Mutilating Bling, so yeah, in a way less likely to Roach Warren.
And unlike players like Inertio, Snute's also more likely to have many queens out early opposed to the bare minimum.
That's a good point. That's the difference. But yeah, aLive, he's going to have a decent attack, I think, just because the Roach Warren isn't done. So at least you get the Lings that have to try and buy time for the queens. But right, I'm not sure about that much else. 4 queens, 5 queens now. Only 4 Hellbats as well is not that scary if one joins in. Good target fire in the medevac. Tries to save it. No.
Well, this is that beauty of the queens. They've got such nice range to them. Even as they get low, they get pulled back, and it's really hard to reach in for them. That's what kills the medevac. And now these queens who were a little bit shy in transfuses, a little bit shy in health, they've got the energy in 1 second. Transfuses going out all over the place, and Snute deflects this attack, what seems like almost too easily.
Those Marines were should have focus fired that last queen. Oh well. The Liberator is going off, okay, the main base finally, but the queens aren't distracted that long, and still some of them are alive. There's already a Spore Crawler, that shouldn't do too much. Helens go to the 3rd base, but Snute did stop droning during that attack, obviously, so there's nothing over there to kill.
Yeah, this is I mean, this was a great early game out of Snute for sure. He can still mess this up here. You know, the queen dies. It kind of sucks. But the spore crawl is already done. It repositions to catch the liberator. He'll go right back to mining. As he starts transferring over, creep spread should be coming out soon. I mean, a big part of why Snute couldn't do this was he spent so much energy on transfuses. So yeah, now we see the tomb start going down. He'll connect these bases and be better off for it.
Yep. The game is definitely weighted in Snoot's favor at this point after defending like he did. It moves many queens, it moves many lings. Just really got right back into droning. And you know there's a certain period of time where they're going to be waiting on stims. So that's like a lot of time to drone really, really hard.
By the way, some people getting on the GSL results stuff still. Like, I want to make this clear. Like, GSL is still like the top tournament with some of the best players. I'm not saying that the results are negligible. I'm just saying like the results this year at this time versus last year at this time. Like, I feel like they're just not weighted as heavily. So
there are wonky GSL seasons. Is maybe because I feel like people are like they're actually more like asking like why would it be less important than the other season?
Maybe. Regardless, it's just that's my opinion, and if you guys don't like it, you don't like it. Oh well, move on. We got a couple of subs to shout out, by the way, that we did miss. Black Sword just subbed recently with 27 months. Says BTTV hype. And then a gentleman whose name I've never been able to pronounce correctly, Uvafredner. Euvafredner.
Euvafredner.
Thank you for the 38 months. Says my chat badge is prettier than your chat badge. Ace Namgasm. Neener boo boo.
Oh man, I just realized you probably lost the bank heist. It was so long ago. Ah!
Just assume you lost. It happens more often than not. So here's the problem for aLive, right? He's got a third base ready to go, but because of the damage he didn't do earlier, Snute's moving towards his fourth, and he's got a very healthy drone count. Furthered by the fact that he is going to be going to this roach style that we saw Nurchio use quite a bit. Roaches and Ravagers can go a long way, but of course, it's once you pair them up with the Infestors that they get really, truly terrifying. I'm really curious if he'll go for Pathstring Lens or not, because that layer finishes up a little bit later than you would expect. So Infestors will be out a bit later. I don't have time. We'll find out.
Most Zergs aren't too eager to get it. They'd rather just try and buy time for the initial Infestors. But we'll see.
I feel like if someone can check the math on this, but like if you build more than like 3 Infestors in a game, it's got to be worth it.
Yeah, to eventually get it, but it's less about math, about the overall game, and more about the immediate now. I don't actually know. That would be the thing, though. Is like, is it worth showing the Infestors and letting them buy time, buy energy, or is it worth not showing them and banking up? I don't know.
So this was just barely before Combat Shields got in, so he did pick up a couple of Marines a little bit easier for it. Well, we do have the question of whether Infestors will be eventually paired up that upgrade or not. The fact is, not many Infestors are actually coming out right now, as he moves on to a Hive pretty quick.
Yeah, definitely want to get that burrow with the Infestors, so that is taking away some of the gas, and then the Hive, somebody wants to get to as well.
Yeah, wouldn't it be cool if you could have a caster unit that you couldn't see what was casting?
Sure. Like a Cloaked High Templar.
Yeah, or a Burrowed Infestor. Wait a minute!
Now, wait a minute. Alright. aLive is taking really bad trades. Like, this game has just gone from a bad start to a bad mid game to what looks to be an unwinnable late game. Like, seriously. Snute is up 70 supply, so he's not going to be broken before he gets to Hive. So unless aLive just throws down a 4th CC right now and says, I guess we're playing to this Supreme late game, I don't see him punishing Snute. I just don't see it.
And this is, by the way, that point I was talking about before where, like, Snute, he really got the macro. He got away with so much. And I just... aLive's build was not optimal against a player like Snute, I think is what it comes down to. Like, I don't think that Hellbat attack's ever going to work against somebody who goes, like, 9 queens type thing, you know?
Yeah.
But the SVs get pulled. The command center's already burning. The Lings do get bled out pretty badly. But I think Snute still got just a little bit too much. With 37 SCVs remaining and the command center going down, absolutely going down, there's just no recovery at this point.
Wow, that guy's trolling us quite hard. He gave us a pronunciation guide, Ripkin. EUV.
He knows how his name's said, okay? It's... you know what it is? I know how to say it. I just choose not to. It's more fun that way.
There you go. There you go. Thank you to Lass. Oh, fuck off.
Lasser Christiansen.
Lasse Christensen. Lasse.
Thank you to the Laser Christian who just subbed to the channel for 9 months in a row.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one too.
Laser Christian actually sounds so much cooler than it probably is too. It's got like some cyclops like laser beams coming out of his eyes.
That'd be cool.
All right, well, it's gonna be aLive's map pick for game number 2. We'll see what one he goes with. Again, the reminder is that the winner of this plays against Nerdshio in the finals, and I really honestly wouldn't mind a ZVZ if that's what it comes down to. But he picked Paladino Terminal. This is my favorite map intro, just because it's stupid. To explain really quick before you guys watch the dumb thing that's about to happen here, I just started making this, and I don't know why. I felt like an 80s vibe from the map, and then it just kept getting worse and dumber as I kept going. So, I gotta get a meal in here.
It's a fun little intro.
My heart broke when I learned that Joey didn't know who Jean-Claude Van Damme is. Like, anyways, you guys will see what we're talking about here in a moment. Let's hop into it. Okay, game number 2 here at the semifinals kicking off. Up in the top left, he's down 1 game at the moment. We'll see if he can bring it back. It's going to be the blue Terran player, aLive.
In the bottom right is the red Zerg. He is Liquid Snute.
So thank you to Mr. Boris Makarov for tweeting this, and I guess I should note this. You guys have probably heard the news by now. Twitch has rolled out name changes, which is cool. They've also made sure to include a couple of details about this. For example, if you change your name, your broadcast channel will change, and it won't, like, going to BaseTradeTV would no longer redirect you to our new one, etc., etc. But for those viewers who love tuning in oh so casually, if you use any sort of token-based bot system, whether it's Revlo or DeepBot or whatever channel you're on, collecting these points for watching, those won't transfer with you. So, for example, if your name is Butts McGee and you change your name to Ass McGee, you won't have the thousands of partoos you've accumulated over time. And this will apply to all channels that you go to as well. So this is a general PSA for anyone looking to change their name, to keep that in mind, because I know that I have several currency systems on many different channels I wouldn't want to lose.
Important stuff, man. More important, yeah, is this game and this 3 racks.
This is interesting to me, because Snute really seems to go 50-50 on this. Like, sometimes his defense looks pretty solid, but then sometimes he just falls apart, desperately trying to put spine crawlers down like it's Roaches and Ravagers. Like, I'm really curious if aLive will be able to abuse this or not.
If you can believe it, we don't see the 3-axis often on this map. So, might be a little bit of surprise, too.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, there's a lot of terrain you can take advantage of. You can certainly cut off the natural if that's what it comes down to. That's where I think Reaper power really shines through.
Well, of course, the Overlord scouts it. I guess it's kind of a downside of such a small map, is that the Overlord sees it real quick, but most other maps, they see it well enough anyway. But Roachborn comes down, and now he can mentally prepare, doesn't build any drones unnecessarily, you know, that type of deal. Even 1 or 2 larvae going to drones as opposed to lings necessarily could be a big thing. Or an Overlord gets not made, that could be huge. But aLive's definitely meaning to take an expansion behind this, which is like the extra scary thing for Snute, because even if he holds against the Reapers, then it might just be a bad game overall anyway.
I'm very happy right now. People seem to like that intro. Makes me okay with it. A lot of time I'll put a lot of effort into something and people won't care. It's like, feels bad, man. But this one seems to have paid off. Nice. Anyways, yeah, straight to Roaches. Roaches, of course, aren't going to be the solution. It's usually the Ravagers that follow. Queens are very far off of creeps, so it's a little bit scary here for Snute. 1 gets focused down immediately, but he loses 2 Reapers for it. 3 Reapers for it even. Jeez.
Ooh, not worth.
Is that the EU latency, or was that just mistakes out of aLive? That's
a good question. That might have just been an attempt to focus fire. So, that was a mess up, though. Because you need a certain amount of Reapers, especially on such a small map, to make sure they don't counterattack. On a smaller map, that's less Reapers that are reinforcing quickly, so they know they might be able to risk moving their roaches out against only 3 grenades at a time. Like, this is actually kind of scary, and it's usually not an opportunity that Zerg could get with Reaper openers. This could be even really bad news if Snute committed to it. But he's droning, so even though he gets a Ravager, it's like, eh. That Overlord providing high ground vision, just sniped one of those Reapers. Oh, another one.
This is a really funny wall, but of course it's still a wall that can get broken with the depot going down. Grenades going off left and right, though, just kind of hitting all these roaches. So everything here is taking some damage.
Yo,
I don't even know if that bunker holds, though. This is so weird.
Yeah, you just kill the barracks, and if he lifts up all the barracks, then you could just kind of get around the bunker, go up the ramp even still. Like, killing the barracks is worth it.
He really wanted that Marine, and that's going to cost him one of his barracks. Like, he doesn't have any repairs on it. It's going to burn.
There you go. This is devastating.
I mean, it's a great response out of Snute because, like I said, we've actually cast Snute to have to deal with this recently, and sometimes it just really doesn't look good out of him. Like, you sit there just shaking your head like, Snute, I know you know better how to, but this is actually a good one. He actually handled this very well. Takes the third base even while this goes on.
Too well, in fact. aLive, because, again, even if your Reaper fails, but you still have enough to make sure they don't counterattack, and you still have okay production because you had 3 barracks, like, you can kind of try and make up when you get medevacs. But this delays production. It delays add-ons, which delays stim. He's going to have medevacs available, but no stim. Definitely no combat shield, unless he went for 2 tech logs. This is really Snute's game. Yeah. Even trying to bust the bunker. I don't know if he has an opportunity to end the game. This might be over intention, but...
I was going to say, he's kind of over-dedicating with the Ravagers at that point. Like, he started bleeding out a lot, but... At the end of the day, he did do a significant amount of return damage, and aLive sits here with 27 SCVs. I mean, mules are great, but they're not that great.
I think it's you wasting minerals or burying this, and 2 SCVs not mining.
It's not a waste though, because it is keeping the Ravagers from pushing in and getting to that mineral line.
It's a waste because Snute isn't doing anything special to force it, I guess.
That's true. I'm surprised with that one Ravager at like 24 health, he didn't just dive out to go kill it. 3 health even. Like, I think the Reapers could easily get that and fall back.
Yeah, he probably should have. Snute's gonna maybe think that's gonna happen, so he's gonna retreat. He's got a 3rd base. He's droned to 50. Yeah, he's got a lair on the way. Again, aLive stim is just so badly timed.
You know that motion chefs do where they kiss their fingers and like magnifique? Like, that's how I imagine Snute's feeling right now.
Yeah, I guess so. Cannot imagine Snute doing that motion, but sure.
No, Snute is a very calm, very chill dude. I don't think he would do something like that.
If you get him a little bit tipsy and talk about toilets.
That's apparently when the passion comes through. Actually, what I should do is my new place's toilet is not only low flow, but like the eco flush. I should take pictures of it and tweet to TLO and Snute. They'll be very proud of it.
It's, wait, so it doesn't have a lot of... What do you mean low flow?
Like the water sits at the very bottom, like there's that gap like a German toilet.
I thought you meant like it didn't have much power to it, and I'm like, wait a second.
Well, that is another part of it. You get the 2 different buttons, right? You can press the one to get like the small flush or the big flush.
When I was in France, they had the same thing, and I was like, oh, I know what these are. I'm not, uncultured American. And I would use them appropriately, but they both they kind of seem to do the same thing, so I kind of gave up. I think France doesn't actually care. It's just a ruse.
It's the placebo effect.
Okay. Anyway, I guess deciding not to push into that, maybe he saw... Yeah, okay. The Overlord saw the tanks, and Stim is finishing up, so it would have been a little dangerous to meet that. Just take a defensive fight, and you'll probably be much better for it.
Some of the chances they saw Snute the other day on stream trying to respond with 15 queens. It did not go well. No, I would imagine it didn't. That's the thing about Snute. Like, he prepares really well in one direction. It doesn't even have like a halfway point. So it's something where like if he recognizes Reapers quick, he does what he did here, and he deflects it nicely. Other games he prepares for like the medevac drops, gets hit with Reapers, and he's like, oh, what do I do with like these 10 queens I made? Like,
no, I don't know. Yeah. Snute's gonna go around. He absolutely should. I think he has a game-winning army with +1.
I really wish he had Overlord speed actually though, because if he had an Overlord with this for high ground vision, he would dominate anything, like anything aLive could have possibly had in the defense. But maybe not as important. aLive is gonna actually get in here with 2 medevacs full of Marines, and there's not really anything here to defend. If he wants to focus fire down the Queen and the Roaches, he'll be able to stay here for a long time. The drones get massacred coming into the Snute.
Oh no.
Pulls back.
Ah, yeah.
Oh.
I guess he had to. There'd just be too much micro involved in breaking the tanks. But that was a good drop.
That was a phenomenal drop for where aLive was in the game. Like, that actually brought him back to a very playable position. But I mean, Snute still, don't get me wrong, like, 4 base, there's a lot of drones still behind it.
Yeah.
But that was
More
definitely
playable.
a very good, very cost-effective drop.
Yeah, and now he's going to be able to defend with equal upgrades and combat shields, which would have been missing otherwise. So while Snute's probably going to recover pretty quickly with the drones, and he's even going to get to infestors, this is bringing back. It's good for aLive.
Snute would not be good at Space Invaders. You gotta shoot at where they're going to be, not at where they are.
He's no Fry.
Well, Fry even was no Fry, because it was he'd always get his brother to beat it for him.
Didn't he figure it out, though, at the end, and that was like kind of the moral of the story or something?
I guess, yeah, I think you had Amy or Leela. I just... Goddamn, Futurama was so good, man. I missed that show a lot. We do have pathogen glands coming out, so he's moving towards those infestors here shortly. I don't think he's going to feel too bad for this attack, though. I mean, the tank's going to come up, they're going to get Corsair Bile, if not focus fire down one at a time. So, yeah, he just backs way out of that range, takes a couple of shots. So much army supply, so many roaches.
I think Snute would definitely want to wait for those upgrades to finish, and ideally for the infestors, too, but they might not be ready. He's going to lose a 4th base, which is kind of important at this point.
I mean,
interesting.
It's a nice pick-off for aLive, but I think that with the 5 infestors about to pop, like, Snute's going to be able to just crush this army. And regardless of 3rds or 4ths, he'll be able to just use that momentum to push through and win the game. Again, these infestors will have the energy to fungal thanks to pathogen glands as soon as they pop.
Yeah, that's really nice. And aLive's going to think he's maybe gaining momentum, and then he's going to run into an infestor, and it's going to be bad news.
Oh, and it's in the choke, too, so there's some pretty good hits. There's some pretty good shots. High Grand Infestor, too. Oh, it's the Medivacs. Corrosive Bile's got to come down next. Yeah, they do hit the target. All the Medivacs almost, well, Infested Terran's on top of the tanks. That's it. GG. Well done, Snute. Well done with the 2-0. But this leads us into a ZvZ finals. And before you guys all cringe and go like, ZvZ, more like... This is actually a very fun matchup recently. And I'm surprised because I'll be the first person to say I hated casting ZvZ. I got so sick of it because it was always in Europe. It was always ZvZ. It was all the time with Legacy of the Void. But I don't know. More recently, it's been a lot more enjoyable to watch. So I hope you guys will stick around to give it a shot. If you don't like it, then take off after. But give it a shot, because ZvZ with Snute and Urchio, I think is going to be very good. But we'll go to a commercial break while we get this started. First map in the Grand Finals is going to be on Abyssal Reef. Oh, hey, so prepare those stupid little emotes for when we get back. I'll see you guys soon.